I want to quickly talk to you about startup accelerators. So everything you need to know about accelerators, I'll go through it in today's conversation. Okay. So if you think about a startup accelerator, I want you to picture a real life university program. This is a hands-on program that really allows your startup to have access to expertise, to mentorship, to funding, and to a lot of other things. Okay. And one thing I want to say here is that startup accelerators are actually they can be run locally or they can be run globally. So accelerators are basically intensive 3 to 6 month programs that actually provide all kinds of capabilities. Like I said, mentorship, resources, and a small amount of funding, usually in exchange for equity in your company. And the equity can go anywhere from 5% all the way to 7%. Okay. And the funding amount can go anywhere from $25,000 all the way to $250,000. So generally, accelerators will take about 3 to 15% of your company's equity in exchange for providing funding, guidance, and networking opportunities with VCs and other investors. So if you have a startup, it's important to understand that you might say, whoa, 10% that's too much, 15% of equity that's too much. But hey, listen, the kind of access those accelerators give you is really quite essential, especially if you're just a startup, like you have no traction or you have a little bit of traction, but you have access to no resources. So that's really an important resource, an important sort of access at the very beginning. Okay, especially the networking opportunities with venture capitalists. So, for most accelerators, you'll need to have more than just an idea to apply. You'll need a prototype and often the first iteration of your product or service with initial market traction. So, once accepted to an accelerator, you will work with startup advisors and seasoned entrepreneurs who can help you refine your product, business model, and pitch, as well as connect you to investors so you'll have a better chance of raising a seed funding round. Okay. So overall, the purpose of an accelerator is to help your startup and other startups and also early stage companies accelerate their growth. So by providing guidance, resources, and access to industry experts, founders and entrepreneurs can grow their businesses and set them up for success in future fundraising rounds. Now, when you hear the term accelerator, sometimes you hear, I would say, a related term, incubator, right? So let me clarify things for you today. So while both accelerators and incubators are designed to help you build a successful business, there are some key differences between the two. First of all, you need to understand that accelerators are designed to help you accelerate the growth of an existing startup, usually in the seed stage that has a minimal viable product. So we're speaking about an MVP and also a founding team in place, right? So you will get actionable feedback to test and improve your product and business plan. And accelerators are often cohort based, which means a set number of startups get accepted in a class and they'll go through the structured programming together. And accelerators are also usually provide funding for a stake in your company, like I said before, right? 5 to 15%, sometimes 3 to 15%. So that's for accelerators. What about incubators? Well, incubators have a slightly different business model because they are generally less structured than accelerators and provide the environment and resources to help you develop and refine your pre seed or early stage startup idea so you can turn it into a business. So, unlike an accelerator, you don't need to be in product development or have an MVP, business plan, or a founding team to apply to a startup incubator, right? So, basically, as the name implies, accelerator helps you really accelerate your growth, as opposed to incubator who actually like those organizations like incubators help you actually just gonna nurture you. Okay. So the key difference here is that an accelerator focuses on growing and scaling early stage startups. Many accelerator programs require companies to have a viable product or operational business model to work from before they can be accepted into the program. So if you don't have a, let's say, a viable product, you can't be accepted into the program. Okay. So when should you join a startup accelerator? So when you have a startup, you probably have like you're going through phases, right? And so when is it the right time for you to consider joining an accelerator? Well, it really depends on your specific niche or specific business model. So there is no right answer, okay? But one thing for sure, you want to join an accelerator once you have initial product market fit and are getting ready for your first fundraising round, okay? The reason is that accelerators come with all the credibility, they come with the validation, they come with the expertise, and they come with actually the network. Okay, so accelerators logically can help you gain credibility, expand your network quickly, and gain access to experienced entrepreneurs who can provide valuable business and leadership programming. So this is something to really think about because unlike an incubator, basically an accelerator helps you way more because an incubator just helps you turn your high potential ideas into a viable business, nothing else. Okay, so that's important. So most accelerators have strong relationships with a wide range of investors and are structured to help you improve your product and business plan with a goal of getting funded, right? Because that's the bottom line. The bottom line here is to get you funded, nothing else. Okay, so many accelerators end with what's called a demo day, where you get to pitch to their network of investors in hopes of raising your first round. And while Series A startups are not excluded from joining accelerator programs, it's less common to join after your company has already raised its first priced round. Okay. So this is an important element to really think about. So at the end of the day, you got to really understand that an accelerator is there to actually help you accelerate your growth. So, if you want to apply to a startup accelerator, you have different phases to actually go through, and you have to be really structured and you have to be, I would say, focused. Okay. So, getting accepted to a startup accelerator can be highly competitive, really competitive. And so, you have to really, like, if you have any question about the specific accelerator you want to get into, let me know in the comment section and I can certainly help you a little bit, or my team can really help you a little bit. Okay. But everything starts logically with a well crafted application. You want to really craft your application properly. Okay. So before you dive into the application process, make sure your startup aligns with the accelerator's criteria. So most look for an MVP and some evidence of market traction. They want to see some kind of market traction before they will work with you. Okay. Now, here are some tips to actually help you make your application stand out. Because that's the bottom line. You want your application to actually stand out, right? Identify the right accelerator. You want to highlight your unique value proposition, your UVP. You want to prepare a compelling pitch deck or video. Okay, I think it's just better to have both because some accelerator staff members like to watch videos while others like to have a pitch deck. So when I say identify the right accelerator, this is important because some accelerators are global, they are globally oriented, while others are, let's say, they're just in the States. Some others are even just focused on a certain region. Like if you take Mass Challenge, for instance, this is an accelerator that's actually focused around Massachusetts and the Northeast area. Okay. So research accelerators that align with your startup's industry and stage. Each has its own focus and expertise. So choose one that best fits your needs. And so in your application, you want to clearly articulate what sets you apart, okay? What sets your startup apart. I'm speaking here about your UVP or your USP, your unique selling proposition or unique value proposition. So you want to focus on your team's expertise, your product's uniqueness, and how the accelerator's resources can accelerate your growth, right? Because that's actually the bottom line. How can they help you speed up your growth? And you want to also briefly present your business model, market analysis, and vision. So this is your chance to answer why your startup is actually the next big thing, actually, because accelerators are not interested in funding some small thing, some small idea, right? They're looking for the next big thing. So during your application process, you also need to showcase your team's strength. And finally, you need to be clear and concise. I will always insist on brevity. You have to be brief, okay? Because accelerators are their staff members are really busy. You're not the only one. Like I told you, this is a cohort based program. So they are actually enrolling multiple startups. So you want to be brief. You want to go straight to the point. So when I say showcase your team strength, you want to emphasize how your team's background and skills uniquely position you to succeed in your target market, right? Maybe you have a wonderful mix of skills within your team, within the founder team, like within co-founders or within even the team that you have, like staff that you have right now. So you want to really show the accelerator staff member how your team is positioned to win. Okay, paint the picture of why your team has the tenacity and know-how to make your startup succeed. This is important because, and here I'm not just speaking about the skill set. Like we have programmers, we have PhDs on our team. No, we have. You have to really highlight the business experience, the background, what they've done before. Okay, and how successful they were in the past. And when I say you have to be clear and concise, I'm talking about you staying away from complex explanations. Anything jargony, anything like you want to avoid jargon at all. You want to avoid jargon, okay? And so your application should be very easy to understand, yet impactful, highlighting why your startup is an exciting investment opportunity, okay? Because at the end of the day, you have humans actually reading your application. So they don't have to be experts in your field to really understand what your product is all about, your product or service is all about. Remember, the application process is not just about convincing the accelerator of your startup's potential. It's also an opportunity to reflect on your business strategy and goals, right? So a well-prepared application not only increases your chances of getting accepted, but also helps you clarify your vision and roadmap for your startup's future. So this is really good from, I would say, from a flexibility point of view. So if you think about startup accelerators, you need to understand that they affect your company's valuation either directly or indirectly, okay? Because at the end of the day, if they invest money, if they invest 25K or 50K or 100K and they take in return, if they take 5% or 7%, right then and there, right then and there, they're valuing your company, right? So because if they say, oh, we're paying you $100,000 and that's 7%, that means they thinking that your company is worth a certain amount at that stage, okay? So the impact of joining a startup accelerator on your company's valuation is multifaceted, starting with equity dilution, actually. Okay, so typically, like I said a little earlier, accelerators ask for about 3 to 15% equity in exchange for their investment and support. So while you gain access to invaluable resources, mentorship, and potential investor connections, you are also parting with a slice of your company. So equity dilution is a natural path of startup growth, but learning how to manage it is important because it can change both your financial stake in the company and how much control you have, right? So you gotta be a little thorough, and also in terms of you gotta be thorough and I would say gradual, like methodical in terms of how you allocate resources, how you allocate equity. On the other hand, being part of a well-regarded accelerator can enhance your company's market valuation, and an accelerator's endorsement often signals to potential investors that your startup is a worthwhile investment, which could lead to a higher valuation when you raise your first round. So, the growth and development you experience in the accelerator can also increase your business's intrinsic value, and this will offset the initial equity loss, and it can also lead to increased investor demand and a higher valuation. So, this is pretty good. Overall, this is a good move to actually join an accelerator. So when you think about the most successful accelerators, it's important to understand that I have actually committed an entire video to that topic. Okay, so this is important to really go watch that video so you can have more information about that topic. But one thing I can tell you here is that some of the most successful accelerators include Y Combinator, you have Angel Pad, you have Mass Challenge, you also have 500 startups. Okay, you have a lot of them. Okay, and so it's all about what you really need to what you're looking for, because some startup accelerators are globally oriented, some are nationally oriented, some are niche oriented, some are it all depends on what you really want to get out of the accelerator experience. And also, one thing I want to say here is that the success of an accelerator is often determined by the total capital raised, the number of successful startups, because they need to have a proven track record, right? Your accelerator should really show that you are joining an elite program, or at least, I would say, a program that's actually only inviting select companies. So they have to actually, so their success must be valued at their alumni company valuation, successful exits over and over, and like it really depends. Okay, however, every accelerator is different and offers unique value for both founders and investors. Like I said, some are globally oriented, some are nationally oriented, some are locally oriented, or even regionally oriented. Okay, so the most commonly used accelerators include Y Combinator, 500 startups, Tech Stars, Plug and Play, and more. Okay, many accelerator programs are very difficult to get into, with acceptance rates as low as just a few percent, like 3% or 4%. Most companies choose accelerators based on the resources available to them, the funding available, the type of industry, or the venture stage. So, as a recap into this conversation, I spoke to you about everything you need to know about startup accelerators. Okay, I defined what an accelerator it really is, the difference between accelerator and incubator, why you should think about joining a startup accelerator this year, how to apply to one, and how your company valuation, can actually change once you join an accelerator. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.